Hey guys, Mac here. This is the Splinter Cell Blacklist, Perfectionist, and No Kills walkthrough. This map is called Insurgent Stronghold, and I believe it is the second main mission inside the campaign. Again, I am on Perfectionist difficulty, and I am getting no kills in this video. So during the first part here, you're going to want to take out all these enemies. You're inside of what I believe is either a chopper or you're a sniper in the hills, and you're aiding in Sam, but you will need to take out all the enemies before you spawn onto the ground. Now, as for upgrades, I do not have any upgrades equipped right now. I have the stock suit as well as all the stock weapons. I have a stun gun equipped and sticky noisemakers. You will need those two things to follow my guide exactly if you want to, and yeah, just keep that in mind. During this first section, once we do spawn on the ground as Sam Fisher, there are no enemies, so you're free to run through this section until there is a save point. I take my sweet time, which is normal as I am playing this part of the map for the very first time, and I wasn't sure if there'd be any enemies, and I wanted to make sure to stay nice and undetected so that it wouldn't trigger any difficult sections in the map. So as you see, I'm taking my time. You can just run through all of this stuff up until you get the save point, which I'll tell you exactly where it is. Just a reminder, I will be using the stun gun as well as sticky noisemakers. I try to limit that as much as possible, and you can always do hand-to-hand non-lethal takedowns if you do run into trouble. The game will save right here, and then you will actually, soon, you will come up to your first enemy. If you upgrade your paladin, which is the plane, I have done a few of the upgrades. I've only done the upgrades that help with the radar, so I will see enemies as well as their directions on my little mini-map in the bottom left corner. Coming up to this section, you're going to want to go up the stairs and then climb into the window of the little orange house as you see me doing here. That is what I believe is the best option. Once we climb in, again, I'm doing this for the first time, so I'm kind of taking my time being very, very cautious. I go out the door here, cover to cover. Make sure you do cover to cover as much as possible. It makes you a lot less seen. There's two enemies talking outside here, and they will split up. You can actually make it out of this section just by hopping over the fence right now and running up the stairs. I get a lot better in the third and fourth mission, just to keep it in mind. This mission, I do take out a fair share of my enemies. Unfortunately, while learning the ropes, I did do some knockouts. You'll see that as we progress through the game further and further, you'll see that I actually evade more and more enemies and get a lot better ghost ratings. I believe I will get ghost mastery at the end of the walkthrough. Once you go up to this section, the game will save and you will spawn a tri-rotor, weird accent thing. You just want to make sure to keep it out of that enemy right in front of you, keep it out of his vision. So you'll swoop around to the right hand side, up the stairs, through this little window. Just make sure the enemy is not facing in your direction. And what you need to do is park this little guy right in the middle of the room so you can hear the conversation. What I did was I waited for that guy on the balcony to turn around, and once he turned around, you can fly right into the middle there without getting detected. Once we're here, you actually do use this vehicle quite a few times. Well, I don't know if you call it a vehicle. Use this gadget quite a few times, actually, to be completely honest, in this game. Just park it right in the middle there, and you'll start learning or listening in on these guys' conversation. You can use RB to mark them. You will actually notice that I do mark a good amount of enemies during the game, even though you cannot do mark and execute inside of a Perfectionist run, and obviously you don't want to kill them, so you don't want to do the execute, but that option is not even available on Perfectionist difficulty. You'll see me do it just so I can keep track of enemies. As you see right now on my screen, I do actually have a few of the enemies marked inside of the base, and unfortunately I did respawn the checkpoint, which is why that disappeared. So I did take down this first enemy. You don't have to do that, to be honest. I don't know why I did. I did it for whatever reason. Now climb out this window and wait for that enemy to leave this area. You can do an aerial takedown, but I don't recommend it. If you want to go for more points, you can leave him completely undisturbed. Now, I do warn you, watch out for controls. They're very iffy here. Here I tried to climb up and my character just did this weird thing and I almost got spotted. You want to climb up to this section, although be careful. You might end up climbing over a wall that you didn't intend to. Get out the window, shimmy to the right to get to this window, climb through, and then hang on the inside. We're going to take down this target using a aerial knockout. That's the only way you can take out heavily armored targets. You can't take them hand to hand nor stun them. That won't work. And then hack the laptop. If you get spotted, the laptop will self-destruct, and the laptop does help you towards some of the collectible achievements scattered within the game. And once we get that laptop, we can also move on to the next area of the level where we will get an autosave and a cutscene. During the cutscene, you'll have the option to spare or kill this guy. Make sure that you spare him. I'm not positive about it, but just to be safe, if you ever get this option, make sure you always spare this person, as we don't want to get any kills as Sam Fisher, regardless of whether or not it's in a cutscene. After the cutscene, unfortunately, you'll see that the guy did kill himself anyways. And moving on, you'll just want to go down this mine shaft, and there will be pretty much a linear little section of the map here where it's just a bunch of rock climbing. So as I said, this section is actually very, very linear. What you'll see happening is basically just a small section of rock climbing. There's only one way to do this without dying. I don't even know if you can die in this section, to be honest. You might just get a little lost. There's no enemies. It's just simple climbing. Because it is in one of the very first missions of the game, it's very simple. We're just going to make our way towards the little checkpoint marker, and just make sure you look up and climb the proper walls you need to climb, and just keep kind of making your way around the rocks until you get to a small section under a bridge. Coming up on that section, you'll actually see it very soon. You will get a save point and then quite a difficult spot, which I improvised a lot. I'll show you guys exactly what I did, and then I'll comment on how you can make it better. Moving on after this video, actually, I will be doing a lot better and knocking out a very, very small amount of enemies. This mission, again, it's a little sloppy, but it does the trick. And if you do exactly what I did, just do it a little smarter and time it a little better, you will get there no problem. Now, you did just see a save point. I restarted the checkpoint, so if your enemies are slightly misaligned from mine, you can always restart the checkpoint. And during this part, make sure you climb up. Be careful, because the controls are a little iffy in this section too. I shimmy to the left, but really you should shimmy to the right and then go on top of here. Now, you don't have to do what I did. I did it more by accident than on purpose. I tried to do an aerial knockout on one enemy here, which unfortunately I got spotted by the second enemy, and then also had to take him out because he was cautious. What I should have done is I should have kept shimmying, and I'll show you exactly where to go. I'm taking a long time because this is kind of all improvising and I don't really know what I'm doing. I did take the time here to mark the enemies so that I knew where they were for future reference. But what's going to end up happening is I'm going to drop down and go to the right hand side of where I am hanging right now, up the stairs and onto a balcony. Now, it is recommended that you knock out, if you were able to actually not knock out the two enemies that I did earlier, it is still recommended that you knock out the enemy that's going to be right there. He gets a little suspicious and he gets in the way a lot, so make sure to knock him out. If you are going for collectibles and you have upgraded your ship, you will be notified of the dead drop inside this tent, and you will want to go into the tent anyways because it is the best route around this section of the map. Once we make our way out of the tent, we're going to want to actually just go straight for where I'm aiming right now. I take my sweet, sweet time, and because I take way too long and get spotted, I actually have to knock out an enemy after a really long time of almost making it. Now, I will use a sticky noisemaker. What I would recommend right now is to throw the sticky noisemaker far away from you and then climb to the right-hand side of where I'm sitting right now. Unfortunately, that's not what I did for this video purpose. So what you'll see is you'll actually see the enemy on my left of the left of the screen come back to me, and he basically spots me, which is why I make a dash for and knock him out. Again, if I threw that sticky noisemaker, he would be undisturbed and I'd get more points at the end of the level. There you saw me throw my sticky noisemaker to get the attention of the 2 marked guys, and then you'll want to climb up here. You actually just want to get up here as fast as you can without being noticed, and if you time it right, you can actually get past all of these guards without using a noisemaker and without actually knocking any of them out. But when they're both facing away from you, drop down and enter this mine tunnel, and you will trigger another save point. That was probably the second hardest part of this map. And again, here's another enemy which I decided to knock out, but if I was smart, I could have easily snuck by him without him noticing me, which would have given me, I believe, 150 more points than I actually got. I believe in knockout you get 275, and for a undisturbed enemy you get like 350 or something around there, 375. No, it's from 225 to 375, I think. Anyways, you do get more points for leaving enemies undisturbed. And if you did what I did with the sticky noisemaker, you will get Panther points, I believe, instead of Ghost points. So I do get some Panther points occasionally. In the next 2 missions, I actually only get Ghost points. You'll see I was actually pretty happy with how I did in the next 2 missions. This is probably coming up very shortly, is the hardest part of the map. In this section, you see a few cuts, so I did restart the checkpoint right here. But once you restart the checkpoint, you're going to want to go in here to the right-hand side through this door and then plant yourself on the inside wall and then go from cover to cover to the outside. Now, there's these 2 enemies here. You'll see that one of these enemies is a high-value target to me, which means I do take him down because I wanted the extra money and I wanted to work towards the achievement for taking down the high-value targets. From what I understand, the high-value targets are randomized every time, although don't quote me on that. From what I've seen, sometimes they spawn, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're one enemy, sometimes they're another. What I did was I stunned one guy and then knocked out the high-value target. Make sure you bag and tag him to get the $10,000 reward. I think it's $10,000, maybe even $30,000, but you do get a decent reward for bagging and tagging him. Now once you take out these 2 enemies, just leave them there and go from here on here and make sure that one enemy right in front of me isn't looking towards you. And once he's not looking, you can basically make a break for the very end of this section. Stay on the right hand side here on the outside of the map. Go from cover to cover. As you go from cover to cover, this guy might notice you. If you have your stealth suit upgraded, he won't hear you. He might be a little suspicious, but once he turns around, you're going to want to make a break for the right of the screen towards the checkpoint marker. As you see me doing here, cover to cover, and then once I get to the cover, up and around, up here. Now this last enemy, you can distract him using a sticky noisemaker. He was just kind of in my way, and I finally got to this section of the map without alerting anyone, so I decided to knock him out. Once I knock him out, make sure you go into the mine shaft, but you can only go in the one way, so make sure you go in from this side. At the bottom of this mine shaft, I do believe there is a checkpoint. So the checkpoint will trigger right here. And there's only what I believe to be one more section of this map, and that section's not too bad as long as you follow exactly what I do. If you don't, it's a pain in the ass because I believe there's a dog that can find you, and some of the enemy movements are quite hard to get around. This section specifically is very linear, there's not much to it, but once we rappel up, it gets a little more difficult.
Do you think any of these guys were in on Blacklist 0?
Rappel up all the way to the top and then climb the stairs. There are no enemies in this section, although I'm doing it for the first time, so I am a little cautious. In some of the later ones, you'll see me, depending on how I play it, you'll see me do the missions quite a bit faster. Once we open the door, we get a safe checkpoint, so you can restart the checkpoint if you want the enemy setup to be exactly like mine. Once climbing up, climb through the little hole, and then we're going to go to the very right of the map. For this whole map, I don't know if you've noticed, but in every open zone, I've just went to the right and then stayed on the outside. Climb up this little balcony and then make your way around. There will be 2 enemies right there. You'll see them both. And although I get really close to one enemy, you'll actually see me just leave him there, and he actually can't hear you even though I have no upgrades. Just walk slowly, very slowly, and then drop down this mine shaft. Press B, and just keep dropping down and no enemies will see you. There's another save checkpoint, and at this point you have basically beat the map. Everything from here on out is quite simple, very, very linear, and you can't really fail it, nor are there any enemies that will kill you or start shit, as I like to say. So another linear climb, just climb up again, and you're going to want to shimmy around the edge of what I believe is a church. Again, I'm taking my sweet time in this mission, but I do get a good rating, and the series only improves. Like, I'm learning with you guys here, and I don't want to make a walkthrough that's just way out of you know, with all the upgrades and all the crazy stuff and doing everything super fast, because it gets a little confusing. So once we do shimmy over, climb up again. There's no enemies in this part at all, and just walk towards the checkpoint door. Once you reach the checkpoint door, you will trigger a cutscene, and I skip all the cutscenes in my walkthroughs, but right after the cutscene ends, you get this little section. I believe you get like a 30-second timer, and you just have to run through the level. So hold A and just follow the path. It's very hard to lose at this part. I think I do it with leftover 9 seconds, and you can't really go wrong. Just keep running straight, basically, and you'll make it to the end of the level. Once you make it to the end of the level, you will trigger another cutscene, and then after the cutscene, you will unlock the achievement for completing the level, as well as see your detailed score sheet. So I always show my score sheet just to prove to you guys that I got no kills. It is quite fast forwarded, so keep that in mind. But bam, I got a bunch of ghost points, a few knockouts here and there. I got a few panther points, but nothing big. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching as always. Comment, like, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.